What is up, guys, gals, and you awesomeans and gamers of different shapes and sizes? It is me, Josh, and Proxy, bringing you some For Honor today on the PlayStation 4 Pro, and it's going to be pretty freaking awesome. Don't forget to drop a like and enjoy this video, and why not subscribe for more For Honor gameplay in the future. But today I wanted to bring you the Knights campaign. This is something I've been really looking forward to, which is the story mode in For Honor, because as you know, the beta came out, but it was more focused on the multiplayer, like a lot of betas are. But something that was really cool, something that was really fantastic, is that they promised a fully written story for each faction, and to be honest, it's actually quite solid. I was really looking forward to this mode for the full release. I ended up getting this game digitally on the PlayStation Store because, as you know, I'm in New Zealand, and so it's this thing where if I want to buy a game here, it's like nearly an extra 15 to 20% for a disc version, which is crazy. Yet if I buy it on the PlayStation Store, I'm only spending like maybe about an extra £5. So I thought, you know what, I could get it digitally. I mean, generally I like to get them on disc and stuff, but I mean, what is everybody else's opinion of that? Do you rather like getting digital versions of games, or do you like to get the disc versions of games? I mean, I personally really like to get the disc versions of games, but this game, because it's so multiplayer focused, in a sense, I just wanted to kind of get it. Because I don't feel like I want to put the disc in all the time. I mean, it's one of those really weird things. Like, there are a lot of games where it's like, well, I guess if it's just multiplayer, then why would I want to keep popping a disc in, you know? I could just, like, keep it on, you know, digitally, and it'd be fine. I could just download it sometime. But yeah, this was really awesome. This is one thing that really surprised me about For Honor, is that the story mode is actually really solid, and they do a really good job of kind of easing you into the game as well. Like, this is the second mission, I think, maybe the third mission, and basically what you're doing is the knight plays for the bad guy, which is like a really awesome kind of like take on the story at hand. So basically what you have is you have these three factions, they're all fighting and stuff, and it's really unusual because obviously why would samurai live near knights and why would samurai live near Vikings? It makes no freaking sense. And the fact that like they're all kind of near each other is, you know, quite funny, and it's kind of like a nice kind of fictional take on things. You know, if you had all these warring factions really close together and ready to do battle, what would happen? And then basically you have this villain in the game called, I think it's Apollyon? It might be Apollyon, and she's this kind of, this warlord who's kind of wanting the survival of the fittest, basically trying to kill off everybody but keeping anyone that is like an immense badass into her clan. That is kind of her goal. And so what you're doing is you start this game off as this warden here. You can play as a male warden or a female warden, which I think is a really cool thing too, because the female wardens in this are so awesome. And I love that you can play as them as well, because just the idea of a female knight is just really cool. There's always been that thing in movies as well where they actually, or say like animated stuff, where a girl aspiring to be like the Knight of the Round or something. Like, there was that film called, I think it was like Camelot, which was really cool, and she ends up being a Knight of the Round in that, and it was like a really badass idea, and it really works for this as well, where basically it's just like everyday thing that women are knights in this, which I love. I think that is so cool. I play exclusively the female warden because they just look badass as well, with the ponytail. I love just how they animate as well when they murder people, just really cool. But she basically gets kind of like recruited during a battle to this kind of like villainous kind of faction, and it's just really cool that basically you're actually seeing it through the villain's eyes in a sense, but you are playing as a knight character who kind of questions things, who's kind of like observing who this villain is and what she's doing, and if what the warden is doing is right as well. And it kind of, I don't know, it kind of offers like a really good story. I mean, it's not massive, it's not really in depth or anything, but as you're going to see in the cutscenes coming up and stuff, you actually see the main villain and this really cool kind of like a little bit of story, a little bit of like a nudge to what is actually going on in this narrative. And as you can see here, this one is actually all about this faction trying to take down the Vikings, because the Vikings are getting a little too powerful, and so they have to try and cut them down a peg. And you're kind of this really badass warden who can kind of like hold their own and stuff, and so you're kind of going in there and just taking down this very small settlement to kind of like prove yourself in a sense, but also try and like investigate and find out what is going on with these factions. Why are they actually kind of, what would you say, antagonizing your faction so much as well? And it's this thing where you learn a lot from the story, you learn a lot about the characters, and it's only in little subtleties. That is the thing as well, because obviously the game is focused on multiplayer, but it's this thing where just through the combat, through the little bits of light narrative, you do actually learn some cool little things. And this is just through the knight story as well, like the final level where you fight against the, like, you go against this massive Viking boss, which is really badass. And something that is really cool as well is is that the game offers little bits of different gameplay mechanics, which is kind of cool. I won't really say different gameplay mechanics, but just kind of like little treats, you know, like it's not just doing this, going into the Art of War kind of like game mechanic system where you're just kind of like locking onto enemies and fighting them. One thing you can actually do is with this massive boss that you fight at the end of the night's campaign is he actually has wolves on his team, and so you have to kind of like fight wolves at the same time, and that's just so different, you know. And it's this thing where it kind of reminded me a little bit of, say, like Dark Souls in a sense, because obviously you can actually fight like mass amounts of hounds and stuff while also fighting like enemies with tons of health, and basically he has like tons of health and he has these really unusual supernatural kind of like boss-like kind of abilities, but he has these wolves helping him, and it's just this really cool idea. Now this isn't actually that boss. The other boss is kind of like this massive Valkyrie kind of warlord, and it's just so cool, and I really loved it. And one thing I really ended up thinking to myself was, I want more of this. I want more of this story. Why are you not giving me more of this story? And to be honest, the story is quite short. I'd probably say the night story was maybe about 4 hours long, and then if you say have the, you know, the other factions as well, because obviously you have the Vikings and the Samurai, they all get their own story as well, and so I'm assuming they're probably going to be around 4 hours long as well, maybe about 4 hours and 20. Like, I see the levels from what I've seen from recording each and every one as being around 20 minutes in length, which is quite good for a level if you think about it, and you get around 5 levels per character. But it's this thing where the night story has this really cool kind of like take of where it gets to, but then it kind of ends, and you just see that, I'm not going to spoil anything, but basically it's like the night story kind of just drifts, you know, it kind of just drifts off after this amazing battle, and I really wanted to see more of it. I wanted to see the confrontation between Apollyon, I think it's Apollyon, I think her name's Apollyon, between Apollyon and the Warden, and I think that'd been really cool, like this amazing kind of like badass stalemate, and maybe we will see that in the future of the game, say like with the Viking faction, or maybe the Samurai have to fight Apollyon, I'm not too sure, but it's this thing where I really hope it doesn't end with a cliffhanger. I really want to see it become something, and I've just been enjoying it. I've been really enjoying it. It's been really good. It's been a nice little break from the multiplayer, because something that's kind of interesting is that the multiplayer is played out a little differently to what the closed and open beta were, especially the open beta. The build of the open beta was incredibly balanced, so balanced, and now that we've actually had the introduction of these brand new characters like the Shigoki, we also have the, oh my goodness, I think it's called the Lawbringer, or the Lawmaker, I believe, and then the Valkyrie, which are these 3 new classes in each faction. They're okay, but they're a little bit unbalanced at the moment. There's some really weird things going on with them, and people are taking advantage of those things. I will talk about them a little bit more in the future, but I was getting quite frustrated. It was this thing where they basically ended up balancing the game into this odd way, where, say, the Warden is actually a lot weaker now, the Valkyrie new class is actually really weak, the Shigoki is incredibly powerful and is actually a little bit broken and glitched, and so people are actually like exploiting that, but it's one of those things where it's like a developer overlooking stuff, and so it's kind of their own fault that it's kind of happened, where everyone is going Shigoki and then kind of just like pwning everyone, you know? And so it's been really good kind of just like sitting back and actually seeing that I actually have this other kind of like area to go in of playing this game, which is of course the campaign. Sorry, I'm about to say the multiplayer. You actually have the multiplayer, but obviously the campaign. And the good thing to note as well is that you can actually play this in co-op. This is really cool thing, is that you can play this in co-op, along with the fact that you also have multiple difficulties, and along with a leveling system in the story mode, along with things like, say, unlockables, and you may have noticed me like breaking jars and things, and so it's this thing where you can actually kind of like break the jars and get kind of like unlockables for your multiplayer. And so like I got this actually this color scheme here of the night, which is the black and yellow for the multiplayer, which is quite cool. So there are actually things that you can work towards for in the multiplayer, you know, and in the campaign and like that, which kind of like work together, and it's kind of cool. It's really awesome. I'm really looking forward to playing this story mode through the hard version as well, because you get more experience through doing that, and you also get even more unlockables and more ornaments for your character's armor and stuff, and so much stuff to work towards. But I want you to enjoy this last 5 minutes of the game without me talking and stuff, just so you can see what it's like to see that story, those characters and things, and let me know what you think to it. Would love to know. But it has been me, Josh, aka Noir Proxy, bringing you some For Honor on the PlayStation Pro. I would love to know all of your opinionage. Let me know if you've actually got it. Would love to know if you'd like to actually play with me. Maybe we'll actually get some challenges going on, maybe like a subscriber challenge like I did with the share play thing. We'll see what we can do with that. But it has been me, Josh, and I'll see you all next time. Ciao for now.
Why have you abandoned your posts?
A black stone dog has strayed from his pack.
Stand down! Your people need you.
What's a warden doing fighting for Apollyon?
One of us should go home and change.
Why have you abandoned your posts?
Kill them.
We were going to have to fight our way out. What has become of your home? You are better than this! That was the day I finally met our warlord. Apollyon. Gotcha, Blackstone.
Do you know what kind of creature waits for its own slaughter? Sheep. Sheep. No! Welcome to the Blackstone Beach.
I had my answers. But too late. And a warden's oaths are not lightly broken.